Hello, everyone. Welcome to the SIG Testing weekly meeting. Today is 6, 2019. This meeting will be recorded and put on YouTube after the fact. Remember to follow the Kubernetes community guidelines while you're in the meeting. And let's go ahead and get started. So like I was saying earlier, we've just got the one topic today. We had stability issues with Prow, and so last week we were able to resolve those by reverting changes. Cole, hopefully, I was hoping if you could answer some questions. I think as far as we know, so what version is currently deployed on kits.prow.io? What do we have to do to get there? What are the known issues that we were working around? And sort of what are the next steps moving forward?
So looks like yesterday we updated Prow to a commit from February 23rd. So we're not perfectly at the most recent date, it looks like, but we're essentially resolved from where we were before because we were previously in January. I'm not sure if there's anything blocking us from updating to today's commit. I can try and verify that. Yeah, I'll look into that and see if there's anything that's keeping us from updating now. But as far as I know, everything has been resolved with the exception of some of the PRs that we reverted. We may want to re-revert to bring those back in, but I don't think that's stopping development on master for Prow anymore. So I think we're back to a healthy state. I don't know how much more there is to say about that right now.
So what were the the known issues that were affecting us last week? We had CPU usage issues. There was the nil pointer problem in Hook. There was the GitHub rate limiting issue in Plank. Were there any other any other individual issues that you know?
The triggering problem was the nil pointer thing. So yeah, that's covered. We also saw that problems with pods inside the service cluster communicating with each other, but we're assuming that was due to CPU load. Yeah, so we're seeing a lot of symptoms, and it's kind of hard to analyze exactly what all the causes were. But I think we've at least identified some of those causes and addressed them, and it seems to have fixed all the problems that we were seeing.
Okay, so I added pprof to Syncer with the hope that we could deploy that and then profile that binary and see if the clients that used there were significantly added to the memory load. Do we have a set of next steps, like instead of just re-reverting and seeing if the problems come back? Are we adding pprof to all of them? Like what? You know.
Given that we've addressed as many things as we can, I think we need to, if we want to add the client back, I think we should just slowly add it back to more components and see if we hit any more problems again. It's kind of unclear if that was actually the original problem in the first case or not, given that there were so many other issues going on. So I think that all we can do is try and slowly add things back in. But given that we've reverted everything and we're now able to deploy successfully again, as long as we do things incrementally, we should stay in a healthy state.
So the components that had reverts were Tide, Plank, and Deck, and Hook, right?
Yes, there may have been, I'm not sure all the components that got reverted. We may have also reverted Horologium and stuff like that. Not sure if we did or not.
Do we know what order we're going to be bringing them back in?
I don't think we've thought about that yet. Previously, I guess the only one that we thought about before was Syncer, just because we know that that's a safe one to mess around with because it has like essentially no user impact. I think that should be our guideline for what ordering we're choosing them. So things that have minimal user impact if we have to muck around with them.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think it would be nice to add the pprof handlers to at least deck and tide, just because if we do add changes and the CPU problems come back, and we don't have those in there, and we can't gather any data, it'll just cause us to have to do an extra round of thrashing, right?
Yeah, that sounds good to me because those are going to be the components that are most likely to have problems too.
And that way we only need to do one bad deploy to hopefully get enough information to figure out what it is. I looked into it, and the with CRDs, the generated clients actually aren't using protos, but it's not obvious to me why they would be much worse. But yeah, so let's put them back in one at a time. So first we'll add the debug handlers to make sure we can do traces and profiles at one time. Then we can slowly add reverts back in one at a time in order of user impact, which looks kind of like sinker, then plank, then deck, then hook, then tide. If sinker and plank aren't working very well, it doesn't really matter. Like CRD resources will pile up and pods won't get scheduled, but it'll eventually become consistent once we deploy a working version. Cool. I think that's all we've got to update on this one. Anyone on the call have any questions? And like Cole said, I think we are generally accepting changes to the repo this time. Awesome. Thanks everyone for coming. Have a good week, and we'll see you around next week.